Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to another live stream of Hearthstone. We are black and white today to support net neutrality if you're in the United States at all. And please contact your congressman and other representatives. That way we can put the pressure on them and continue to have things like YouTube actually at least partially work. If this is the best we're gonna get, it's only gonna be worse if the FCC destroys net neutrality, which is what they're trying to do because the person in charge of it works for Verizon. Even though he works for the government, he's working for Verizon and very rich people. So I've been trying here on the daily quest to trade out and get more, but I haven't been handed the best hand. It's almost as if they doubled the amount of gold you can get. Then they shifted the odds of you getting a 40 quest, because I've been trading things out and I've got 160 that's now 120, and now I have 150 that's 100. So we will get more gold, but they certainly seem to be making it more difficult. Now my last stream was one of those Sunday streams where nobody was on. Hopefully today will be different. So I have this new app that I found out Cripperian uses, and it's called Hearth Arena, and I'm itching to test it out. So if somebody comes on the chat and wants to see me play arena, only one person, that's all it needs, is one person to ask me to play an arena run, I'll do an arena run. But if nobody's on chat, if nobody's willing to go that far, I'll save my gold for another time. But I really do want to do an arena run myself, because I'd like to try out this new app. This is potentially promising for much better arena runs by just telling you what the card values are. So it will say the 3 picks and then have an overlay that tells you this card is worth this value, this card is worth this value, this card is worth this value. And if I just play that way, which seems like Cripperian plays that way too, and he was the 3rd ranked arena player for 1 month at least, so it seems like this will at least potentially make me win my money back, and that with the new expansion cards very well might allow us to start moving forward and making having more successful encounters. Let's see if we have a tavern brawl, if this is just the old tavern brawl to start with. Okay, this is one. No time for cowards. Play minions. Plague minions gives them charge and taunt. There's only... Okay, here's the mulligan. Go, go, go. Well, let's make a warlock deck then. And if everything has charge, then let's see. I imagine there's a decent deck you could make as far as things having charge, and then let's just type in damage. Like, if I can get things that are really strong and then damage myself because of that, let's see, that might be balanced very well. feel like I should have more some of these cards. We'll take this. We'll take this. We'll take this. That puts about a 15 there. And then I wonder if I should stay within the Warlock cards or whether I should move on to something else. Dead Steed might turn out to be an interesting one. I'm trying to think here. I think, honestly, let's take that too. That'd be an interesting twist. I don't think I need that. I think what I need is, of the ones, charge and taunt, what would I want? The thing that would be have the most attack without a taunt. So what would that be? This very well might work too with a Murloc deck. Let's see, I'm just trying to look here. Yeah, we'll take that to try to balance out some things. And then something like can't attack charge. I'll take one of those just to see if that works. But what else? Charge. We'll take one of those just to see. Take those two. We only need 5 more cards. I'll take that. What else are we looking for here? Should I play Mana Wraith? I haven't played Mana Wraith in a long time. Charge, but it's more expensive. One more card. Do I have anything specific I would want? We'll just do that. My deck is full. Hey, this is new. Let's give this a try. So, I don't really have a ton of news to cover, and I'm kind of hoping people will hop on and chat. Like, I almost wonder if maybe I should just keep the news from the previous week. In a weird way, I probably should. If I had 2 more just whiteboards, and I cycled through them, and didn't erase things as I was going through the process, then let's not take that one, or that one. Oh, we'll hold on to that one, I guess. Like, that might work. I was also thinking maybe just put all of my news things on the... Do I have any friend requests? No. just put all the news on my second screen. I don't really have room for it, but yeah, that would probably work too. Interesting. Summoning a Jade Golem doesn't work. Well, this is gonna turn out to be an easy way to get victories too, so this might turn into a really short thing. So I guess I'll just go ahead and go through the news now, because if this turns out that it's really easy to get victories through the Tavern Brawl, I'm just gonna save myself some time. I finished Life is Strange. The ending literally has a nightmare in it, but it also is a nightmare of a game. For them to put like an hour of a nightmare sequence in the middle of a game that was hugely convoluted. I'm not gonna say it's really complicated, because I think that's the wrong thing to say. I think it's convoluted in the sense that it's got a lot of twists and turns and alternate realities and different timelines thrown into the game for really no reason. I guess this little cursor here shouldn't be there. We'll just go ahead and put it there out of the way. For the Hearth Arena thing. Deal 5 damage to my hero. I guess I have to do this. Jade Beamoth. So yeah, Life is Strange was a mess. It was a weird way to end this thing too, because I had this director's commentary that was about 45 minutes long at the end, and
I can ease your pain.
It mostly just had the creators of the game saying things that I imagined they would have said anyways, and I was listening to it and I was talking over it. There really wasn't much of a wrap-up. I've noticed that more and more as I wrap up games, I've run out of a lot of criticism to say right at the end, because it's really just a summation and repetition of what I've been saying before that point. Let's see. I guess I can kill this guy. This. And this. So yeah. Oh man, I've got that flickering mouse issue again. I just installed a Windows 10 update, and there was something weird about that too. Let's see if we can stop that. Limit capture frame rate.
So many possibilities.
No. I think what I need to probably do is switch this down to 1080p, and I won't do that right now. But
so many
I think the higher resolution probably is a stupid move anyways. Probably, let's just 1910 by 1080p. No, still have the flickering.
Almost out of time.
Let's go here.
Wanna blow something up?
Alright, let's see. So yeah, I don't know why the flicker happens, honestly. Like, it seems something in OBS, or it seems something with the overlay. Like but even when I turn off the Hearthstone deck tracker overlay, I guess I have to specify which overlay now. I shouldn't have done that actually. Because here's the deal.
The end is coming.
We'll see what they want to do with this. Maybe it's some kind of interaction, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I'll have to see if anybody else is having this issue. There's some weirdness too, certainly, with the way Hearthstone Deck Tracker does its overlay versus the way even Hearth Arena does its overlay. Because, like, all I had to do is click a button on the capture of Hearthstone and say, get any overlay screens, like, for instance, well, I'm gonna lose here. What was I talking? Yeah, I have to make a separate recorder for this. See, the thing here is the mouse is still flickering. Maybe I have to reset it. Maybe that's it. Maybe I have to reset it to 1080p. But yeah. In fact, I probably shouldn't have had it at the higher resolution anyways. Rendering things at higher resolutions than scaling them down is probably not that useful as far as Steam's, as far as YouTube is concerned. Yeah, but yeah, I was talking about Life is Strange. There really isn't that much to say about it, other than the things I say in the game. It's got some weirdness to it. I don't think the writers were writing to their strength by writing an 18-year-old girl. I think there was several almost support signaling, virtue signaling going on there about being anti-bullying, anti-gun at schools, which are all good things to try to write about if you know something or if you do the research. I just don't think they did the research, and they squeezed like anti-guns in schools, anti-bullying into a story that is also has time travel and a murder mystery, or mystery in general, and there's just too much there. And their love of Twin Peaks sent them in a very strange ending. Like, that last episode is straight up, I'm gonna try to make Twin Peaks, and anybody trying to make Twin Peaks is probably wasting their time and being silly. There's other things that you should do, with maybe the exception of, was it Swery that made that game? Deadly Premonition? Yeah, Deadly Premonition does Twin Peaks from the beginning to the end, and that's all it really wants to do. And it's almost a complete ripoff of Twin Peaks, whereas Life is Strange throws in Twin Peaks right at the end and fails to really utilize episode 1 through 3, like a lot of point and click, like a lot of the Telltale style of gameplays, but they do it even worse than the Telltale games usually do it. And then Amazon Prime Day. Amazon Prime Day is mostly a ripoff, almost completely. I looked at all the sales. I looked at sales specifically for games. I looked at sales for other things. Not a ton of good sales. I did, unfortunately, he managed to break yet another controller. So my Xbox 360's wires is broken. If I could get somebody maybe in the next year or two to cut the wire and rewire it, it's right in between the connector of the controller and the Faraday magnetic shield or whatever that thing is. So it's gonna be a pretty tough thing that I personally don't have the time or desire or skill really even to fix. But I know somebody else can fix it. Cut the broken wire and rewire it. It should be fine. Maybe lose an inch of length there at best, or maybe it will even gain wire if there's some spare to use. But you kind of need the Faraday connectors, otherwise you're gonna have the wire of your controller acts as an antenna and gets interference. But instead of getting yet another Xbox 360, which in all honesty I'm thinking about making a RetroPie or 2 or 3, and then I'm plugging in or putting wireless Xbox 360 controllers on them, so I still may end up buying a bunch in bulk before they go completely out of stock, which they're not really at a huge risk of going out of stock yet, because there was just so many of them made. But I decided it was time, because Windows 10 doesn't really support the 360 controller. It's time to move up to an Xbox One controller. I may eventually move right back down to a 360 controller, but I don't think so.
I can ease your pain.
You can see this is a pretty good strategy we've got going here. Have half your demons heal, have half your demons take damage. The only reason why this doesn't work in regular gameplay is because you don't get taunt and charge at the beginning. I suppose if you played a Divine Shield class, that might work too. It might work rather well. This will do 1 damage. This one's gonna do damage every time I summon something. So if I played this next turn, I shouldn't play this because this is gonna do a lot of damage to me. I could do this. Let's play this first. I should have attacked this first. I should have attacked with these two first, then this, then take this. This will do another 5 damage to me. And then end the turn. Yeah, so Amazon Prime Day, mostly rip-off. There was a Lego thing, but I'm so over budget for spending money. I'm gonna have to save up for the summer more than even what I spend on like Black Friday. Black Friday is a pretty big rip-off too, but at least it seems like there's slightly more of an opportunity there. Let's see. I think we should just go for the victory here first. Just take this guy out. Yeah, I don't really need to play cards. But yeah, the Lego carousel is a impressive set because it takes up a nice set space. My growing Lego village is on a table that's against the wall, which is pretty normal. But because it's against the wall, it kind of desires that background, some kind of background against it. And I could certainly, I'm just having this idea, that's actually kind of nice. I could get some flat base plates and some flat 1x1 squares of Legos and make a kind of mountain range, I'm thinking sky image, just a picture there with maybe with my extra things, maybe go a little 3D with the pieces, an interesting art piece. But in front of that flat background, I was hoping to put the carousel, the Ferris wheel. Yeah, it's not carousel, it's a Ferris wheel. There is also a carousel that was just announced this year in Lego, and that it's a little expensive, frankly, and so is the Ferris wheel. Even at $50 off, you're still paying $150 for a little light on pieces, a little dull design, and so I skipped that, and hopefully won't regret that later. But nothing else really even caught my eye. There was a battery pack, the things you would use to charge up a cell phone. It was a pretty good one on sale. A mechanical pencil was on sale, and that was really it. Moving on to video game news, and I'm not joking, there really isn't that much. Fable Fortunes Early Access has been delayed 2 weeks to July the 25th so that the Xbox One and the PC come out at the same time. So it wasn't even a problem with the PC version. It was the Xbox One, and that's kind of a terrible statement on the face of it, that Microsoft, Lionshead, which I thought was owned by Microsoft, did they get rid of them? And are they independent again? I don't think so. Or maybe it's not even Lionshead. Maybe it's a different developer using the Fable license that Microsoft owns. I should have researched that. But either way, Fable is a Microsoft property, and they can't even apparently make their own games as well on their console as they can on PC in early access too. That seems like troubled development for an early access thing, and that kind of sucks, because I was hoping Fable Fortunes might have a chance. I didn't think it really would, but maybe if there was more competition in the card games, that would be nice. That would be helpful. Now, here's the weird thing, is because I'm doing this in black and white through OBS live, this footage is not being recorded in color either. So it's going to be a little weird when this airs several months from now.
I wonder.
I can ease your pain.
Let's just go ahead and kill this. Let's see, when this one gets summoned like that, it's not a deal. It doesn't have charge, it doesn't have taunt, but it's still there, so I guess playing that one card probably is a bad idea. Neo is getting a second expansion coming this month, which brings an interesting conversation you can have about just the longevity of hype for a game these days. Neo is a pretty good game by all reports. I didn't play it. It was a little bit out there, a little bit more of a game for Japanese players than Western players, but people were still finding something to like there. Let's see if I do this and this 7 will stay alive. But when I destroyed that totem, was that can't attack unless it's the only minion on the battlefield. Oh, so yeah. He could have used those 2 to kill my guy, killed his 2, and then attacked with that. So I think I did the right move. It's a real good example of DLC not supporting their own game, and the idea of them trying to keep people invested. Now, also though, it certainly is probably a case of I've got so many games personally as a video game critic that I'm probably a lot higher than most players now, so higher in the number of opportunities to play other games, and higher in the desire to play other games. So if somebody had bought Neo, I still think they probably would appreciate that here 3 or 4 months later after it's come out, if I was to guess, that they're getting DLC and something to play. But from my perspective, all I see is a game that is completely gone. It's like, we've done that. It's over. We don't need another we don't need any more DLC, because that game has had its time, its 15 minutes of fame. And I guess that's what it really boils down to, is video games are literally getting down to their 15 minutes of fame. Not really. I would say that most games enjoy 3 days of launch time on average, unless you mess up and release at the same time as something bigger. And then if the game gains traction, it usually gets at least a month. And if it's something like Overwatch or Hearthstone or something very, very popular, then that the opportunity for it to be popular amongst its fans for a lot longer exists, but that's not really a guarantee. If anything, those are the outlying cases that bring up the 3 days to a month of being in the general zeitgeist of people's thought patterns up to a higher number. So I did want to announce Neo, but also that just got me thinking. There is a new Fig campaign, and I'd like to go back and see how many Fig campaigns have been launched. There really hasn't been a lot of them. I know for a fact, because see, so if it says can't attack, it still can't attack whether it gets charged or not. Fig being this slightly different Kickstarter Patreon model specifically for hand-picked games, specifically mostly for people who are friends of the industry and Double Fine. Let's see. Can we do this?
You will regret this. Feel my pain.
I can't do that.
Feel my pain.
So yeah, this new Fig campaign though is called Fantasy Strike. It's a fighting game from the Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix designer. Way too many Street Fighter 2's Street Fighter games have been released. So I don't even know if Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix is a new version or not. And it's the designer, not the creator. His name is David Sirloin, and he's seeking $500,000 for funding for this fighter game. The game looks okay. It's full of a bunch of characters that you just in general wouldn't how can I say this? In general, the characters just don't look that interesting. Why did I play that card then? Well, whatever. Wouldn't think anything about them. They're too varied, frankly, is the problem. When I think Street Fighter, there are different characters from every single country, or not every single country, but many countries, and they're fighting with different fighting styles. I think that's the general idea there, unless I'm totally wrong. But here, Fantasy Strike seems like it's a combination of some non-copyrighted fantasy characters. Like one guy looked kind of like Swamp Thing. One girl had a paintbrush and was doing some attacks like that. All of the attacks look fine. It's 3D, but from a front perspective, 3D models, but a 2D perspective and playfield, like a Street Fighter thing. A lot of the attacks are gonna just be direct copies of already existing attacks. You really can't get too far away from that because there's really no way to not copy the attacks of the previous fighting games. They're just like that. They've done all the attacks. I would probably much prefer to play Injustice and play the characters from the DC universe than play a game that's gonna just have random fantasy characters. I didn't read their plans, so maybe there is some kind of plan to license other characters, but if they can't get the license, then they're set well for what they've got. Maybe this game in the fighting community will play and be a lot more popular, but I'm not sure that's really got a big chance. Do I have the latest card back enabled? I haven't really looked at it. This looks new and interesting, I suppose. But alright, so I need to move this to maybe here, there. I had some extra cards. I don't know what happened there, but we have an extra epic to disenchant. So that puts me at 520 dust. I don't think if I was to look at the classic cards though in crafting mode, like, I don't think there's anything I can do with 500 dust. And I'm still trying to get that classic set because, well, frankly, the classic set is gonna stick around longer than anything else. Like, when the new expansion comes out, maybe we would buy some old god packs, and maybe we'd get lucky and fill in having one of everything, but probably not. We would get some Nixramas packs, honestly, and Nixramas was a single expansion, so that wouldn't be the ones we get either, would it? Hall of Fame. Battle Cry, draw a pirate. And this is a Hall of Fame card, so maybe we can't get this one anymore? I guess that's what we'll do. This is a wild card, I'm sure. Let's build an epic card for 400 dust and the Hall of Fame. This is 1600 dust. This is 1600 dust. This is 1600 dust. But these are all legendaries too. Well, that's my decision, I guess. Moving on. We have somebody on the chat. Somebody new too. Kofi saying hi. Hi, Kofi. What's going on? I need to learn to, as a streamer, ask people questions. We need to play cards that cost 5 or more. I have a special deck just designed for that. Here. And we might as well play ranked. Oh, I forgot. I was going to see if we were on the latest card back too. Are we on the latest card back? Yes. I can't wait till the new cards are visible so we can look at the new cards and at least begin to think about how that's going to go. Yeah, so that Fig campaign is there. I still very much don't think people should fund games, even through the Fig service, which potentially might get you some money back for that, for actually investing in the game. It's just not a good it's not a good policy. There's too many games that are available for sale, so unless you have whatever percentage of the 10,000 games available for sale on Steam, and not to mention all the other services for PC, until you have those thousands and thousands of games, I don't see why you should be funding new games. I'm gonna probably mispronounce their name the second time around. Let's see. Kofi says, thank you for pronouncing my name correctly. I think that's how I pronounced it the first time, was Kofi. Like Kofi Annan. I'm kind of struggling to see how you would mispronounce that. Honestly. Can I friend you? If so, can I have your name on Blizzard? Yes, you can friend me. All friend requests are fine. My battle.net ID is Rydo, R-Y-D-O, number 1423. There's also links down in the description that say the same thing if you need to double check in the description box. Now let's see, if I play this, I think this will work. Yep. Mana Crystal. Go. There's a game called Fallen Legion that has moved up its release date in the Americas to July 18th. It's for a PS4 NVIDIA. It's a side-scrolling card fighter. I couldn't really figure out what it was. It looked like a team-based side-scrolling fighting game that you might, with 4 members that are fighting against enemies. A lot of different things combined there. But the main element there, if you want to check out Fallen Legion, by all means do. The main element here, though, is that they moved up the release date. And unless they're moving up the release date to get ahead of some other game, which maybe they are, I didn't check to see what else is coming out on July 18th. And this is, I think, a Japanese game, so maybe they're competing against some Japanese game that's not even coming out in the West. There's certainly a issue of you would want to have a good release date. You would want to have that advertisement. But I suppose, since I haven't even heard of Fallen Legion until this point, and it's coming out in just a few days, they're not going to they're really not going the route of ensuring that they they get their name out there. Tons and tons of Japanese games come out for the PS4 and Vita in the West just because it's super easy once it's already been made, and if it's not one of those games that needs a lot of localizations, you can just spend a small amount of your budget to make the Japanese language be English language, and you're done. A interesting news story: more than 40,000 Steam users were banned the exact day after the summer sale ended. They were banned for cheating. From what I hear, this is pretty much how it goes, though, with cheaters. Is they wait for the accounts to be on sale, and they then cheat on them and get those accounts banned, but they don't care because they're already on sale. Oh man. Let's give them some fireworks on that.
I have no time for games.
I guess 40,000 Steam users accounts doesn't really mean that much. I guess if we ever saw a news report saying Steam now has over this many accounts created, we might want to add in the fact and say, well, you have to consider that a significant portion of those might be banned accounts at this point.
Job's done.
See if that works. Summer Games Done Quick is over. They raised $1.7 million for Doctors Without Borders. So I guess good on them. As far as I know, I haven't looked at Doctors Without Borders on charitynavigator.com, but I imagine that they are there. Kofi, if you're still there, I'm on the American account right now, so if you're in Europe or on the Asian account, I'll have to switch to that and accept your friend request on those. How did he get my other character? Oh, because this guy is just gonna constantly steal all of my cards, isn't he?
Your nightmare begins.
A Netflix-like subscription service for indie games has been announced called Jump. Now, Jump is a pretty bad name by itself. I don't know what that phrase, how they get these new phrases, but they seem to do it. And so now I've played 11 of the 20 things. Okay, you're on the European account. Well, do you want to play me right now? Let's see. We can switch. I'm making enough progress right now that it wouldn't be a terrible idea to try to get through some of the gold things. Also later, can I play around against you? Let's do this. Now my European account is still just right out of baby mode, in the sense that so I haven't even logged into this. Unless you let me win, I'm going to lose because I have nothing but the very basic things. Like, I need 10 wins to get this card, and let's see, we'll trade something here and see if we can get something better. No, so I need 3 wins with 1 more win with any class, deal 100 damage, and 7 wins here. I don't expect you to give me all of that. I'm not seeing a friend request on the European account, Kofi. Like, it's not showing up yet. Did you send it? It's the same Battle.net account for everybody. It's RYDO number 1423. Yeah, Kofi says I don't see why not. And I can't even do a Tavern Brawl until I'm level 20. Yeah, the European account, I just over E3 got these past the default setup so I could play with friends. There we go. But the European account, of course, can't ever be priority. I wish what they would do is, are you sending a friend request, or am I? I'll send a wild friend request, even though I don't think I even have any wild cards in this account. I'm just gonna stick with the Shaman. See, I haven't even unlocked all the basic cards. These are level 3, level 1 decks. So, mostly this is just playing for fun when in the European or Asian account, and to let people show off their deck. So let me know if there's something specific you want me to do to help you show off your cards, and then I would ask if you would be willing, see if you can let me win when you're done showing off, just because that will help me get. I don't even particularly want a ton of gold for these accounts, but I would like to buy the One Night in Karazhan expansion for 700 gold. That way those cards unlock. That's kind of it. Maybe at some point, if I get really, really deep into Hearthstone, I'll come back and try to have the European accounts have a ton of cards, but it would probably have to be after I have all the cards in the entire game on the Americas account. And frankly, I would just prefer that they would merge the accounts all together and make it a lot easier. Moving on with the news, though, Jump, the Netflix-like subscription for indie games, kind of makes sense, and it might work. I think part of the problem, though, and frankly, I have this personal bias, is I just don't want other services out there, even good old games that doesn't have any DRM, and I would in general like that idea. I just want everything in Steam, and I think one of the nicest things. Hey, we got somebody else on the chat say, dude, what deck are you playing, lol? The video is slower than the game. Your video is slower than the game. Yeah, there's major delay that YouTube puts in the game, in it. What? Dude, what are you even talking about right now? I'm talking about what's happened in the news for video games in the past thing. Kofi says a false wolf warlord. Right now, the Hearthstone deck tracker app over here is wrong. It's showing my deck that I was playing before, which is designed to play cards that are 8 or more for a daily quest, and it's a pretty bad deck for winning, but it's designed for that. That's what you're seeing there, right? Hearthstone deck tracker should have reset this, and it didn't because it's a little bit buggy.
Job's done.
As for the video game news, yeah, we're moving further ahead. Conan Exiles has updated a climbing mechanic in its early access development. Conan Exiles in particular looked feels like a odd actual early access game that was pushed ahead so it could be released, and now they're having to go back and say, wait a minute, we actually want to add mechanics. With this deck that is here, no, you don't win, Cabo. No, that's not the purpose of this deck. The purpose of the deck is to, as quickly as possible, get that specific daily quest of playing 8 plus cards, 8 mana cards done quickly. But all of that is going to change in the next expansion. In the next expansion, because you can now get daily quests done with friends and just or a secondary account, which I can just play myself on the cell phone to do a lot of things, and because you can copy and paste decks out now, I can just copy out a good deck that's a high meta and has a good chance of succeeding and winning. I can copy one of those out, make a deck that just has a bunch of cards. Say I have a daily quest to play Warlock cards, I can just fill it with cheap Warlock cards, get that daily quest done, and then copy back in the ranked play decks. And so, starting with the next expansion, all my decks are going to be only focused on really getting up to rank something. Whether I can get up to rank 3 or 4 or 5, I don't know. So far, I've just been focusing on getting gold and getting the daily quest, and I have over 10,000 gold. Kofi says, K-Bo, I have a plan. Yeah, well, I don't know what Kofi's plan is, whether he plans on winning or not. I shouldn't be winning as much as I am if he's not letting me win, because I don't even have all the basic cards. Moving back to news, Conan Exiles is an interesting one. Sadly, I think by the time they're done getting out of their early access, which technically, if they're adding mechanics and features, that I think means it's still in alpha by the true definition. Kofi, do you want me to win, or is it okay if I win and we just move on to we play a second game? Because I could do it right now. I'll wait till you respond, unless you've got, in case you want to show something off. I need a certain card to do that. Well, I'll stop here. I need to destroy, do 100 damage to the boss, so I'll keep you down at 1, but then I won't go any further. But it's difficult to talk to the chat and cover the news. I'm still trying to learn all of this. But oh, Kofi says I don't mind if you win. Alright, well then I'll take the victory and I'll challenge you again, and we'll play again. Because, like I said, level 3, just trying to get the basic cards done. Good game, says Kofi. Thank you. Good game to you too. My fear with Conan Exiles is it may very well have been a good game if they had just not done early access. If they had finished the game completely and then let people play it. But instead they went with this whole Ark Survival Evolved mentality, which was a terrible way for that game to get released too, or Rust, which is a terrible way to get that game out there too, because once you only get the initial impact of an announcement of a release of a game once, and the people that would have wanted to check out and play Conan Exiles have already done it. I don't see any streamers playing it anymore. I don't think anybody's going to come back to it as far as reviewers or streamers or people that would get the word out about your game for when it comes out for real. And so I think they just release poorly, and I honestly don't think any game should come out in early access. I think early access is just a dumb concept. There's a difference between a closed beta that's specifically designed to test or in some way ensure that your network servers are working and able to handle the load or something like that, and then just saying, well, this game is going to be unfinished, but we want to sell it to you anyways. It's like, no, you can't really do that. I don't go to the bakeries and buy flour and eggs and pay them money like I'm buying a cake. Like I don't go to a car manufacturing plant and buy just the engine and not the body and say, well, it's early access to a car. Nobody wants early access to anything. They're selling you an unfinished product, and that's simply not what I want in my life. In almost direct opposition to selling you an unfinished product, I keep saying project, I don't know why. Rock Band 4, a pretty old game, has released a 17-minute long DLC piece for the song Inagata Davida, which is an interesting word to write down. That's a 17-minute long song for a rather old game. I would not have expected that there would have been any release or any more DLC released for Rock Band 4 in the past 3 or 4 years, honestly. So that's a bit of a surprise. I suppose Rock Band is in a unique position where in any music game is like that, you could just constantly add music. Now, from the PC perspective though, I feel like there's probably a Rock Band ripoff available on PC that would just allow you to find your own MIDI files or music files and then have the elements added to that. And then you can dance around the legality of having to license the songs for your specific game, and then having games like Rock Band lose the license to those songs. I guess I don't know what to do here. I guess I'll save the coin. See, did I lose the chat? Nope. Just making sure it's still going. There's a game that came out with very little fanfare again called Black the Fall. It's out right now. It's kind of like Inside. It's a 2D dark in appearance puzzle platformer set in a communist dystopia, which one dystopia is probably as bad as the next dystopia. And it looked alright. Looked like something people should check out, but boy, did it not get any coverage. That is part of the problem. As somebody who could classify themselves as a secondary video game news reporter, somebody who doesn't have access to press releases, I don't get emails directly from video game companies telling me about games. I don't follow that many people that I would get these rare gems. I'm often only seeing a few games that don't get the big coverage. By the time I see it, everybody else has seen it because it was on like IGN or Giant Bomb or GameSpot or something. One of those big Western companies. I do watch Gametsu. That allows me to see a significant number of Japanese games, but then Kofi says next turn should be devastating.
Behold the might of Stormwind!
Let's see, Eco's done 10 damage to me, 12 damage. Let's see. Let's see what we can do to put an end to this.
Job's done.
Darn it. I was gonna try to do 5 to his face. End.
Get behind me.
Do you have any, Kofi, do you have any data quests I need to help you with? Or have you got them all done? Because I'm fine with this being a trade for trade situation, tit for tat. So while I have some daily quests to do, I'm also certainly more than willing to be helpful with what you need to do too.
Job's done.
I will need to, at the end of this game, I'm going to just do a wrap-up of the episodes because I stream live and then I release the video later, months later, and break them up into multiple episodes. So I'll just do a slight wrap-up and then the streaming will continue again. So don't leave, Kofi, or anybody else who's watching live, but I break them up to about 45 minutes. I've been going about an hour here. So this is the end of this episode. If you're live, stay tuned. Everybody else, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.